Well, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for clicking on to the 8th of February edition of the Long Range Discussion. Mark Vaughan here. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are. The cold weather continues, folks, all the way across the continent. Records have fallen all the way from eastern parts of Asia, all the way along to the Low Countries, down through France, and even into Spain as well. Just outstanding coverage as well as the intensity of this Arctic outbreak. And I really do think at the end of this month we are going to look back and see this right up there with all the great cold waves of history across the continent. I think what's really amazing me is the fact that not only have we got the vast reservoir of Arctic air, that Siberian cold air, but as well as that, we've got significant major record-breaking snowfalls. We've seen even snowfall down into the Sahara Desert of Africa, something not seen in about 30 years, I believe. I don't know if the event itself or it's a local thing wherever the snow did fall within the Sahara. It was like not seen in 30 years, but certainly we're talking about tremendous cold still, some nearly 2 weeks after this weather started to materialise. What's interesting is over the next 36 to 48 hours, it looks as if we are looking at some more winter weather across the United Kingdom, because what's going to happen is we're going to start to see rain that's trying to work its way in. We've got Atlantic air trying to work its way into Scotland. We're seeing milder air. You'll notice that over Ireland, in the Northern Ireland, and up into the western part of Scotland. But folks, there's a lot of low-lying, cold, dense air that's hanging over the British Isles. And the problem is, you run a front into that, and that causes problems, because what we're seeing is, across parts of Scotland in particular, you've got a shallow layer of cold air down near the surface. And above that, perhaps around 1,000 to 2,000 feet above your head, you've actually got milder air. And as that moisture, as that warmth rides along and over top of that shallow cold layer, that cold layer could be temperatures right around freezing point. And of course, remember, with the recent cold weather, the ground temperature is well below freezing. Now, that causes a lot of problems, and we're going to be starting to see that over the course of this evening and into tomorrow, because what we're going to find is we're going to see that warmer air riding up over that shallow layer, and as the precipitation falls, it basically hasn't got enough time to transition into snowfall. So therefore it will rain even if the temperature is right around the freezing point. What that will do is, with the sub-freezing ground, that will freeze on impact. It's known as freezing rain. Not something we get typically here in the British Isles. It does happen, but it's more common in such places as the United States. But certainly as the front pushes through, we will see rain mainly across the west, because temperatures are mildest. We've got southwesterly breezes blowing. But as soon as you get that rain band pushing across the country into the colder air, that's where your problems are going to start off. Snow, of course, over perhaps 200 metres and above. But as the front pushes through, slowly over the next 24 hours, we're going to, of course, see clear skies, the temperatures down below freezing widely across England, parts of Wales as well. But over the next, day or so, we're going to see that front pushing southeastwards. As it does so, and once it reaches towards the Midlands, southwards, that is when basically the column of air is deeper in terms of the cold, and thus we should expect heavy snowfall yet again across, particularly places, folks, that actually received the heaviest snow over the weekend there past. So yes, we have got winter weather yet again across the British Isles, and folks, I do think looking into next week, we should start to get used to, familiarise with this, because I do think we have got, over the next 20 days or so, the worst of the winter so far. And I do think the worst of the conditions that we are going to experience this winter will come in the next 20 days. And I'll show you the reason for that in a minute. But certainly, you look at the pool of cold air yet again over far eastern parts of Europe the extent of the cold is quite dramatic as well. We've seen snow depths upwards of 10 feet across northern Italy. Temperatures down to -10 in Milan. Records yet again in France. So yes, some 2 weeks on, folks, the records are still being broken. I believe a lot of the records that are breaking are stemmed back from around 1991. But let's have a quick look at the upper level pattern. This is the ECMWF upper level chart. You notice here the vortex, upper low, very dangerously cold air. Anywhere that's beneath that will be shivering and some sub -30 Fahrenheit temperatures. So dangerously cold, folks. It really is quite scary, in fact, if you're underneath that. But you notice here an upper level low sitting over the Baltic nations. What that will do is it will start to ride down towards the Alpine region. That will trigger heavy snowfall. It will also push down in, drag in the very cold air on the backside, down in over Italy. We could be looking at snowfall yet again for some of the islands out over the Mediterranean. Major snowstorm yet again for Italy. And of course this system will push and bend round back into the Baltic nations. So let's have a quick skip through and see how this pattern unfolds. So notice here the upper level low starts to scoot down into the Alpine countries of Austria and Switzerland. Notice the strong frigid northerly flow blowing straight down into the mountains, and of course you've got the orographic effect. So those winds, harsh, frigid winds, bumping up against the very lofty peaks of the Alps. Of course, as that air flows up and over that mountain, it cools further, and of course it condenses, wrings out more moisture. Therefore, we'll be looking at more significant snow, several feet probably, over Austria and Switzerland. But certainly an impressive looking map. You notice here as well the upper low deepening on the base of the trough, dragging cold air yet again back in over the Mediterranean. And of course, as that air crosses over the relatively warm waters, you're talking about a significant weather event. Notice here the bullseye, the frigid Arctic pinwheel of cold air, the sitting bang slap. That is mighty close to Moscow, by the way. I really hope folks in Moscow are paying attention to that, because you could be looking at the most brutal cold air you have seen, certainly since at least January of 2006, when that was the last really truly severe cold spell in Moscow. But I'm continuing to look through here. You notice here the trough, the cold air pushing right into Spain as well. Yes, now this is what's interesting here, folks. It looks as if the models were quite bullish on a classic Greenland block showing up over the North Atlantic and Greenland into early next week. Now, today's current run has backed off from that idea. I believe this evening's run will return to that look with colder air coming down. First of all, from Scandinavia, high pressure builds in, and then of course the trough would set up more over the western UK. Now we've got definitely an Arctic outbreak on the way for the northeastern United States. Greenland block, I'm very strongly in agreement that a Greenland block will show up. And of course you've got a trough over Western Europe. The coldest weather of the season, I believe, is looming for the UK and western parts of Europe. But certainly we'll skip through the sequence here, folks. And Europe is still not a warm place by any means. You notice the persistency of this upper low is quite astonishing, folks. And I really do think this part of the world will be seeing one of the most significant cold spells from around mid-January through the end of February in recorded history, to be honest with you. More deaths, unfortunately, will be attributed. But you notice here the high trying to build northwards. I think it's too far east. I think it will be farther west. Therefore, I think the adjustment will be that this frigid northwesterly and north flow will be further west, more over the UK and Ireland. And I think overall cold pool will be all west. So let's pay attention to the run later on and see if the model corrects us. It is going to bounce back and forward. There's, as I've said to you, throughout the past month or so, the correction is greatest over Western Europe. That is the area of most uncertainty. But certainly we've got a lot of winter left to come for sure. So be careful if you're in Scotland, Northern England. You could be looking at some freezing rain later on tomorrow and into Friday morning. And of course, if you live from, say Yorkshire southwards, you could be looking at a significant snowfall event later on tomorrow evening and into Friday. So continue to keep checking back. I'll keep you posted. Bye for now.